Capitol Hill. Let's bring in Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, a member of the Armed Services Committee. Senator, good to have you with us today. So obviously, China's about to have a big moment on the world stage with these Olympics. I know that you were very forceful in your call to not attend, for our athletes to not be part of these Olympics. But one of the questions is about timing. And how closely do you see Putin and Xi working when it comes to Ukraine, and then the potential for some more action in Taiwan as well?
Martha, I think that both Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin want to overturn the United States as the global superpower, and they don't have to openly coordinate or talk about these actions, but they can observe what's happening. Xi Jinping sees that Vladimir Putin has massed over 100,000 troops on the border of Ukraine, in no small part because of Joe Biden's past year of appeasement and conciliation and weakness towards Ukraine. What we should be doing now is learning the lesson from that, because China is a bigger threat than Russia to the United States. Taiwan is much more important to the United States than is Ukraine. So we should be providing today as many or more weapons to Taiwan as we're rushing to Ukraine. We should be providing as much or more diplomatic and financial and political support to Taiwan as we're providing to Ukraine, precisely so we can avoid the kind of crisis with Taiwan that we see playing out today on the borders of Ukraine.
I want to put up a full screen that shows U.S. and China influence, which Aisha just referred to in the map that she showed. So this measures influence with other countries through economic cooperation. The United States, 1992, 160 countries. That is down 140 in 2020. And you see China's influence with other countries, and we see it quite a bit in Africa and other nations as well, is up to 61. So they are working on supplanting our global position in pretty much every way across the board. If you look at what's going on in Taiwan and Hong Kong and economic initiatives that are being made in Africa, you could even talk about fentanyl crossing the border, our southern border. You know, what are we doing to push back on that? And what's the Biden administration going to do to change this tide?
Martha, the most important critical thing, as always, when it comes to international relations, is military power. We need to be investing more in our military, more in the kinds of weapon systems that will help us deter and, if necessary, defeat China. That's the ultimate source of influence around the world. Another source you cite is our trading relationships. And regrettably, both parties 25 years ago welcomed China into permanent most favored nation status with the United States and into the World Trade Organization. We need to reverse both of those decisions. We need to bring jobs and factories back to the United States. We need to focus on trading with democratic, free enterprise allies, not with the world's worst communist regime. That's a couple steps that we can take to start unwinding some of the advances that China has made over the last 20 years to protect not only our safety, our freedom, but also our prosperity. Yeah,
we spoke earlier with Secretary Pompeo about what could be done in terms of reopening the Keystone Pipeline, allowing leases for fracking on federal lands in the United States, and the strong message that would send instantly to Russia. You're talking about strong messages with trade. Do you see any indication that this White House is open to the ideas that you suggest, you know, more made in America, changing the most favored nation status?
Unfortunately, right now, a lot of the signals they're sending towards China are the same kind of weak signals that they've sent to Russia over the last year. You know, they putting a high priority on Chinese cooperation on climate change, of all things. Well, I fear that they would sooner take fanciful promises about carbon emissions in China 50 years from now in return for looking the other way on China cheating on trade deals or menacing our allies or our bases in the Western Pacific, doing things like they did just yesterday, the largest incursion at Taiwan's airspace we've seen in several months. It's time to put our immediate and concrete interest first when it comes to China.
Sending pretty clear signals over the skies of Taiwan right now. Senator, thank you very much. Good to see you.